Good morning. Last class we discussed about data-driven framework we discussed. Today we are going to discuss about the modular framework. Modular framework. So what is that modular framework? You can say actions in QTP. This is the concept where we are going to call modular framework. Actions in QTP, modular framework. So in this approach, we create individual action scripts for each reusable transaction or functionality in application, and those actions we execute based on application functionality flow. If I go for QTP, within the test, how many actions we can create? Within the test, how many actions we can create in QTP? We discussed it. 255 actions we can create. Within the action, how many lines we can write program? In one action, how many lines we can write? How many lines? Number of lines. There's no limitation. You can go for the n number of lines. Now, what is the need of creating the like this actions? Login operation, one action. Insert operation, one action. Update operation, one action. So close application, one action. Like that, every transaction we have to create the individual actions. It's saying that. There's a modular framework saying that every transaction you create individual action scripts. Individual action scripts you have to create. So see that action means what is that set of VB script statements to perform particular transaction on AUT. Action means set of VB script statements to perform particular transaction on AUT. Example, action 1 to perform login operation. Action 2 to perform booking a flight. So action 3 to send fax to customer. Action 4 to close application. Like that, individual actions we can create. So what are the advantages we have? Advantage of actions. It is almost similar to the developer's point of view, subprograms concept. Actions is nothing but like a subprogram concept for the developer's point of view. So advantage here, script is easy to understand action by action. Script is easy to understand action by action. Easy to perform debugging in order to identify any logical errors in the script. Easy to perform debugging in order to identify logical errors in the script. Third one, action scripts are reusable. One test to another test. You can call the action scripts. One test you created login operation script. Same transaction required in another test also, the execution time. You can call the action script. No need to write again same transaction script. That is a reusability. So the advantages we have in actions. How do you create the new action in a test? By default, when you open the QTP, so every new test we are going to find one action. So here you can create the required transaction script like this is created. Now I want to create one more action in the same test. So go to insert menu, call to new action. We can use call to new action option to create the new action in a test. So action 2, click on OK. Again, you can create some script here. Go to insert menu, call to new action. Like this, you can create the maximum 255 actions in your test. Okay. The how to create new action in a test using call to new action. we can create new action in a test. The navigation are given in the nodes. Within the test, we can create maximum 255 actions. So this note which I given here, those are the important questions, the interview point of view. For each action script, QTP by default provides the different components like this. One is action or local sheet in data table. Look at this. Yesterday we seen the data table. By default, how many sheets we have? Only two sheets are there. Now we see the how many sheets are there here. Global action 1, action 2, action 3. Because I created other actions. Action to action. So based on the actions which you created, according to that sheets are going to be provided. The another thing here, if I go for object repository, for every local object repository, local action, so we have the local object repository here. See, local object repositories are there. Suppose I may created one more action here. You can observe that call to new action, action 4. See, action 4 sheet we got, as well as action 4 local object repository also we got. Okay. Now, let me save this test here. If I save the test on my desktop with the name as test1, I am going to save. If I go for my desktop here, as a test1, if I open, see that how many action folders are there here? Not action 0, action 1, action 2, action 3, action 4. Each action script, individual action folders are going to be maintained in our test folder. Okay. The three things which is going to provide. So for each action script, QTP default providing following components: action or local sheet in data table, action or local object repository, action folder in our test folder. Like this, different component going to provide. Then types of actions. In QTP, we have the three types of actions. One is reusable action. Second one is non-reusable action. The third one is external action. That are the three types of actions we have in QTP. So what is that? Reusable action, non-reusable action, and external action. Okay, let me show that. Let us assume that I have the test like this. Test 1. It is test 2. Every new test, when you go for, you're going to get them. By default, at least one action are going to get. But default action type will be reusable. Default action type is reusable. Now test 2 also you have the action 1. That is also reusable. Now within this test we can create the multiple actions. So action 2 I may create which is non-reusable. And again one more action I can create. Action 3 reusable or non-reusable. Action 3 reusable or non-reusable. Now if it is a reusable action, If it is a reusable action, this reusable action can be called into the another action in a test. Here you can call, as well as this reusable action we can call into the another test also. That's a reusable action. A reusable action can be called into another action or test. Here I can say run action of action 1. Here I can say here action 1 from test 1, like this. A reusable action can be called into the another action within the test or another test also we can call. That's a reusable action. Simon, default action type in QTP, that is the question where they ask you. I created 4 actions here. You see that what are the all the 4 actions, what type is showing? Reusable. Reusable. Default action type is reusable. Let me go for new test. Action 1, again it is reusable only. Default action type is reusable. If you want to create, you can create a non-reusable action. Now what are the properties of the non-reusable action? This non-reusable action scripts are not possible to call into the another test. We can't call it, as well as within the test also not possible to call. There's a limitation. Name itself saying that non-reusable. These action scripts are not reusable into another action or another test. That's a non-reusable action. What is the third one is there? External action. Now if I go for test 1, action 2, action 3, those are created within the test or not? Those are internal actions. Now whatever action 1 I created in the test 1, so when I called here, I will get some script or not here? I will get some script or not? Action 1, test 1. Now tell me, this action 1, test 1, whatever script I got here, is it internal action or external action? External action. It is not created here. Somewhere you created, you called here. This is an external action we are going to call. This one is an external action. This external action scripts will be read-only mode. It won't allow any modifications. There are the 3 types of actions we have in QTP. Reusable action, non-reusable action, and external action. There are 3 types of actions. Reusable action, non-reusable action, and external action. Let us read notes here. There are 3 types of actions in QTP. They are, first one is reusable action. It is a default action type from QTP 9.5 version. Lower version of QTP 9.5 default action type is non-reusable. From 9.5 version onwards, default action type is reusable. A reusable action script can be called into another action or test. A reusable action script can be called into another action or test. This is reusable. You can call into another action or another test also. Second one, non-reusable action. A non-reusable action script is not allowed to call into another action or test. You can't call it. It won't allow you to call. Third one, external action. Called reusable action script in a test is an external action. Called reusable, which is not created in the particular test. So where you call that action, that test, in the test we are going to call as external action. A called reusable action in a test is an external action. The better understandability is, remember this diagram, it makes easy to understand what is an external action. The action 1, whatever is there here. So this is an external action I'm going to call. This is this one. Okay. A called reusable action in a test is an external action. External action script will be read-only mode, modifications, it won't allow. There are three types of actions. Now I give one example here. Create test with following actions. One is reusable action, other one is non-reusable action. How to create? So I'll see that. So I want to create the action one here to perform login operation. How I can go for that? I will take new test here to open application. What is the script mode to open the application? Invoke application. Then path of the application we have to give. Right click properties. Copy it. Cancel. Then to perform login operation. Now create the script here. Auto record. Activate login window. Enter agent name. Enter password as Mercury. Click on OK. Now here, action one I created. I'm not going to stop. If you want to stop, you can stop recording, not mandatory. After this one, again, I want to create one more action here. So action 2 I want to create. Reusable or non-reusable? Non-reusable I want to create. How to create the non-reusable action? Insert menu, call to new action. So action 2, what is the checkbox here? Reusable action is it. Off the checkbox, click on OK. Here to open a record. Activate flight reservation window. Select open out option. Order number checkbox on. Enter value 5. Click on OK. Stop. Like this. Now one is reusable, other one is non-reusable action is there. Okay. I am going to save this one in our working folder. Where is our working folder? C drive. 10 a.m. October 16. Test folder I am going to create. Then I am going to save the test with the name as test 1. Now you observe that in this paint window, like this test 1 I created with the action 1, action 2. Action 1 as reusable, action 2 as non-reusable I created. Now how I can call this action script into the another test or another action I want to call. How we can call it? That is called reusing actions. Reusing actions. How we can do that? Reusing actions. Now while practicing time also, when that concept is completed, first you create that example. Then only we can do other examples practice. Okay. First you create the one test with the two actions. One is reusable, other one is non-reusable. So how to reuse that? There are two types of drivers to reuse actions. There are two types of drivers to reuse actions. One is call to existing action. Other one is call to copy of action. Call to existing action. Call to copy of action. So what is the difference between these two drivers where they are going to ask? What is the difference between call to existing action to the call to copy of action? Using this driver called existing action driver, we can call only reusable action scripts, not non-reusable. We can call only reusable action scripts into read-only mode. We can't do any modifications. We can call only reusable action scripts into read-only mode. Whereas called action script will be dependent to original script. Dependent to original script. So what they're saying here from this diagram, you have to understand. If I have the non-reusable action as well as reusable action, this one and this one is there. Using call to existing action driver, I can call only this reusable actions here or here I can call, not this one. Whatever script I am going to call here, how the script is going to read only mode or not. The next point what I am saying that called action script will be dependent to the original script. That means you can't do modifications here. But if you do any modifications here, original script, the modification will be reflected wherever you call the corresponding action script. That is a dependent means. Okay. So navigation again. Let us see how it is. Now as diagram I am going to take the new test. Go to insert menu, call to existing action. Go to insert menu, call to existing action. So which action do you want to call? This is the test one which I created. So how many actions are there in the test one? Two actions are there. One is reusable, other one is non-reusable. When I go for this list here, how many actions are showing? That is only reusable action because this driver will not support the non-reusable actions to call. That's the reason only supporting reusable action showing that. Click on OK. Script are going to get, but we can't do any modifications here. Now see what this action one test one showing that. What is showing my diagram? What is going to be action one test one? What type of action? Now you see here action test one is there no? What is showing my here? External action like this. So using this driver, we can call only reusable action scripts into read-only mode. Called action script will be dependent to original script. So whatever modifications you do in the original script, by default that will be affected in the called action script, wherever you call that one. Okay. So what is the driver script here? Run action, action name, test name, one iteration are going to get it. This is driver script, action 1. Run action 1, test 1, one iteration are going to get. Okay. So this is how to reuse the actions using call to existing action. If I go for new test again, what is the second one? Call to copy of action. Using this driver, we can copy reusable and non-reusable action scripts into read and write mode. And a copied script will be independent to original script. Suppose I have an action now with 200 lines of code. Instead of writing again, I want to use this one. We can go for the actions process using call existing action, call to copy of action. But sometimes, as it is, I want to use call to existing action. After 200 lines, 180 lines same I want to use, but 20 lines only I want to the modifications. Then you can go for the call to copy of action. As it is, you want to use call to existing action. You want to use the script and there will be some modifications. Then I have to go for the call to copy of action because it allows the read and write mode. You can use modifications. Now the script is going to be like this. Run action, copy of action name, one iteration it is. Driver, so run action, copy of action name, one iteration. Now see my here. New test are taken. So the navigation observe, insert menu, call to copy of action. From which test it is asking that test 1. So both actions showing that. Action 1, action both going to shows to you. So whichever action you want, you can select, click on OK. So run action, copy of action to one iteration. If I go for the actions list here, copy of action to list, here it shows the script. You want to do any modifications, it allows here. Instead of 5, I want to run 9th order number report. I can do the modifications. Now why we have to go for this navigation? Can I do like this or not? I can copy. Where it is required, I can paste here. Then I can do the modification, whatever is required to me. Yes or no? Then why we have to go for the navigation? Instead of doing the copy paste here. Whenever you want to copy, only script you are going to get. You won't get the test objects. Object repository also required or not? When I copied here, only I got the script. There is no test objects. Will it execute if I run? No. So that is the reason. So we have to use these drivers instead of going to the copy paste. Now if I do like this, insert menu, call to existing action, test 1, action 1. If I go for OK. See object repository, action 1, test 1. You got test objects or not? So not only test objects, if I go for data table here, you observe that corresponding data table also we are going to get as a action 1, test 1. Like this. So these are the advantages we have. When we call our copy and action script, by default, we will get action script, action local object repository test objects, and local sheet data. Okay. The script we are going to get, test objects are going to get, and data also we are going to get. So call to existing action or call to copy action driver scripts are not possible to write manually. Now this is the driver generated here to reuse the action here. Now if I go for this one, if I copy, if I take new test, that is also run so reusable action. If I paste here, if I run it, so we can't go for the writing manually those actions. We have to generate through navigation only. So call to existing action, test 1, action 1, click on OK. Now you can observe that both are same. There is no variation. But first one is not executed. Because there is no path is specified, how it knows that which test action you want to call. Like this. Whereas from QTP 10.0 version onwards, we can call the reusable action using script dynamically. We can call the actions, reusable actions. So without using this call to existing action, how we can do that? So I can say load and run action, path of the test C drive, name October 16, test 1. Which actions could I want to execute? Action 1. Name October 16. Now see that if I run it, one flight reservation window only should available. Load and run action, test 1, action 1. AM October 16, test cities, folder, test folder, test 1 it is. So dynamically we can call the reusable actions like this. Okay. So these are the different things we have. Now what are the things we discussed so far here? What is the concept here? Actions in QTP. We can say this is called modular framework. Modular framework it is. So what is this saying that in this approach, we need to create the individual action scripts for each reusable transaction in your application. In this approach, we need to create individual action scripts for each reusable transaction. So what is an action meaning here in QTP? What is an action means? Set of web script statements to perform particular transaction in application. Set of web script statements. So what are the advantages we have? If I go for like this, what are the advantages? Script is easy to understand, easy to perform the debugging, reusability. Then how to create new action? How do you create new action? Using call to new action, you can say. Whenever we create new action, for every action, QTP provides the action sheet in data table, local object repository, and action folder in test folder. It will go into provides. Okay. Then types of actions. In QTP, we have the three types of actions. One is reusable action. It is default action type. It is. The second one is non-reusable action. Third one is external action. Default action type is reusable. A reusable action can be called into another action, another test. Non-reusable action. These actions are not possible to call into the another action or test. External action. A called reusable action in a test is an external action. Then I explained here. Reusing actions. So how to reuse? There are the possibilities. One is using call to existing action. Call to existing action. Then a call to copy of action. Call to copy of action. So whenever we are going to use these drivers, we are going to get the script. Local object repository test objects are going to get, and local sheet data also we are going to get when you go for these drivers. But these drivers you can't write manually. So dynamically, how we can call it? Dynamically calling actions. How we can go for that? So within the test you want to reuse, then run action of action name they are going to say. Another test you want to call, syntax is load and run action path of test action name like this. Dynamically means. Next concept we have discussed about the operations on actions. What are the different operations we can do on actions? That we'll discuss. take 5 minutes break, then continue it is.